Welcome back to Serious Spoilers. Today I will share a mystery thriller movie from 2022 titled, Vengeance, spoilers ahead. Watch, enjoy and turn captions on. The film starts in a field where a party has taken place. Red cups and other trash are littered all over the area. Not far from there, in a field with no cell reception, the body of a young woman lies alone. In New York City, journalist Ben Manalowitz is hanging out at a party with John Mayer as they are checking out the women at the party. Ben then goes to talk to his producer Eloise. He works on a podcast and is hoping to make his next big project a real American story. Ben hooks up with a woman at his apartment. Later at night, he receives a phone call from someone named Ty Shaw. He tells Ben that his girlfriend, Abilene, was found dead from an overdose. Ben is confused until he realizes Abilene, or Abby, is a girl he hooked up with for a while. Ty tells Ben that the funeral is in a few days in Abilene, Texas, where Abby got her name. Ben attends Abilene's funeral and does his best to give a speech with what little he knows about her. Her whole family believed that the two of them were serious. Ben moves the Shaws to tears and later rides back with Ty. They stop in the middle of the road because Ty wants Ben to help him on a revenge mission, as Ty believes Abilene was murdered. The spot she was found is a place called the After Party, where many people are found overdosed, and Abilene was considered too much of a good girl to do drugs. Ben thinks it over and talks to Eloise, thinking he might have found his idea for a story in the form of a Texas murder mystery. She agrees, thinking that news about a dead white woman is already enough to attract attention. Ty takes Ben home, where meets Abilene's mother Sharon, Granny Carol, sisters Paris and Kansas City and little brother Mason, El Stupido. Ben learns that while the family doesn't think much of their little Texas town, they still don't allow outsiders to speak ill of it. Ben realizes he does not know much about Texas after mistakenly believing they won at the Alamo. He is invited to stay with the Shaws while investigating Abilene's death. Ben stays in her room and looks over old texts between them, where he failed to listen to a song she recorded and sent to him. Ben hangs out with Ty and records his encounters, which he plays for Eloise to incorporate into the podcast. He meets one of Ty's eccentric friends and also interviews the Shaws, learning that they are big fans of Whataburger. KC also expresses a desire to be famous but isn't sure for what. He goes with them to a rodeo, where he embarrasses himself by cheering for the University of Texas and condescending to the announcer. Ben visits a recording studio that Abilene went to, as she was an aspiring singer. He meets record producer Quentin Sellers, who knew Abilene well and also gives Ben his own philosophical thoughts to record for his story. He also tries to talk to law enforcement officials in the area, but they are all either rivaling with one another or just offer no leads or useful info. At the Shaw home, Ben gets close to Mason since he sleeps on the floor of Abilene's room as he used to. He tells Ben, "I love you mucho," which is something he shared with Abilene. Ben goes with Ty and KC to a dance hall, where they spot Sancholo, a local drug lord with ties to the cartel. Ty wants to confront him with guns, but Ben approaches Sancholo and is able to get a private interview with him. He regarded Abilene as a close friend as she was one of the few people who didn't write him off as a thug, and he is devastated by her death. Ben later gets a phone call from Eloise, who connects him to a producer that wants to air Ben's story, which is called Dead White Girl. Ben is eager and wants to finish the podcast, but he gets injured when his Prius explodes. The Shaws pick him up at the hospital. The family takes Ben to Whataburger for his first time. Things are going fine until Carol lets it slip that Abilene was a pill popper. The rest of the Shaws knew, and Ben gets angry that Ty led him on what he thinks is a wild goose chase for a killer when it was common knowledge to them all along that Abilene had a drug problem and most likely succumbed to her addiction. Ben snaps at the whole family, saying that they came up with a wild story because their lives are uninteresting. When he says Abilene was just another girl in his phone, Ty socks Ben in the gut. The rest of the family walks away from him, but Sharon offers him some pity. Ben sleeps one more night at the Shaw house the night before he prepares to leave. He records one last piece where he believes he has not gotten the conclusion he wanted, and he regrets not loving more the way the Shaws loved Abilene. Before going to bed, he tells Mason, "I love you mucho," to which he responds with 1435, to shorten the phrase with the number of letters in each word. Ben realizes this is the passcode to Abilene's phone, which he had been trying to unlock the whole time he was there. When he opens it, he finds messages between Abilene and someone she had saved in her phone as Ben, which is why her family thought Ben was her boyfriend. He then calls the number but gets no answer. Ben has Mason use an ATV to ride out to the field where Abilene was partying. He finds two rednecks who admit to blowing up Ben's car because of the University of Texas thing at the rodeo. Ben then sees Ty hanging out with Quentin, who takes Ben away with him to a tent. There, Quentin is seen pushing a lot of drugs, and a young woman sitting there overdoses before getting dragged out to the after-party. Ben learns that Quentin was Abilene's Ben, and had supplied her with the drugs that she OD'd on. She had messaged him for help, but he already knew she would not have cell reception after being dragged to that spot. Ben records Quentin's confession, but he tells him it will merely be more exploitative fodder for his story in what is already just another tragic case of drug addiction. As the fireworks outside pop loud enough, Ben shoots and kills Quentin with Ty's gun. Ben decides to delete all the files relating to his story, choosing not to exploit the Shaw's tragedy. He then leaves and is seen whispering something to Ty, presumably confessing what he did, and Ty takes Ben and Mason to Whataburger. The next day, Sharon takes Ben to the airport. He says he will now live with no regrets, to which Sharon says she never understood that phrase because she thinks regrets are what help us grow and live. Ben takes these words with him as he returns home.
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Until the next spoiler.